All right, everybody ready?
Yeah.
Buckle up, buttercups.
What?
I said buckle up.
Buckle up, buttercups.
Why do we want... I want peanut butter cups. I don't want butter cups.
I got peanut butter cups in the fridge, but those are for later.
Oh.
I've got cupcakes for the break.
Are they edibles?
No, they're regular Mrs. Freshly's.
That's what we think about Ivan.
Yeah,
Are they edibles?
Well, the way you said it. I got cupcakes for later.
I got a rug.
I got a rock.
I mean, ever since I put that out there, now it's kind of like on the butt end of the whole,
The Twinkie,
reefer.
Mm-hmm.
The Twinkie and the cupcakes and the edibles and I've been stoned every day. Which I'll be quite honest with you, I've been dry for so long now. I don't even think I miss it all that much.
Oh, good. That's good.
So it's
Well, yeah, because if it's between a 45. If it's between a 45 and Ivan getting stoned, that's a difficult conversation.
No, and you're right. It is a difficult conversation because both are equally beneficial, but but what am I going to do? I mean, I can't go any place and do anything. I mean, I'm under doctor's orders for self-quarantine and all that other stuff like that, but it's just...
you have a note from your doctor to stay indoors?
Yes, I do.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, certain family members aren't happy about it, but what am I going to do? I mean, it is what it is. I got to do what's right.
Your immune system is compromised, so
it's okay. You can still get free premium Pornhub. That's available to you.
Oh, are you kidding, man? Jeez, I could take stock in that.
It's available to us
now.
all. You need to get on that. Not that I would know.
But that's the first thing that comes on.
Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to Jeff's mind.
It's his, and now the further adventures of Captain Porn. Okay, boys.
On my Facebook page. Not that I would know anything about this, but this is a public service announcement. There's a free month of premium. If you stay at home, you get a free month of premium porn from Pornhub. Not that I would know.
Ha ha ha! I am Captain Porn, and you can get a month's worth of free Pornhub. Ha ha ha! From Captain Porn.
I don't see anybody else doing it, which is kind of silly. I would think that all the.
Are you kidding it to the point of if I was to do a month of premium Pornhub, my appendage would have fallen off in the first week. I mean.
That's what the blue pill's for, but yeah. Anyway.
The Viagra. Viva Viagra. Okay.
Something like
that. Ready
I have no idea. I bet we've been recording for a while now.
I don't care. I mean, it don't bother me.
Oh, I don't mind either. I just think it's funny.
I find that
if we're bringing this pie back anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, it's cool because I like
easing in.
Yeah, I like the pre-show prep session.
Are we recording or have we started?
Oh, yeah. Welcome, everyone, to SOTRT. That's short for Squares the Round Table, episode number 93. I'm Mike, and with me is Ivan.
Hey!
And Jeff.
Howdy.
Day 178.
So, there's free Pornhub.
So it's
free premium
this is like day 400 of the month of March right now. This is like the longest month ever.
Till the longest day I live. Oh, yeah.
This is
What
are we on? Week 3 of quarantine or
something like that.
We're on 3 weeks of quarantine, yeah.
Yeah. No, hey, like I said, let me tell you, there really is a difference between regular Pornhub and premium Pornhub. I will tell you that right now. There's a huge difference. It's like when you get cable and you don't have HBO.
Is that like Netflix, HBO, where they'll move videos in and out of premium side?
Or there'll be stuff you didn't even know existed.
Right.
And there'll be stuff where it's like, oh, I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know that was available. Wow. Hi. Hey.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't know there was Aaron Esurance porn out there. Which
here's what I don't understand.
I got an interesting story on that anyway. So yeah, but go ahead.
Here's what I don't understand. There really are videos out there with like women wearing like the face mask and all that stuff, and it's like, why?
Yeah. And they're doing it. They're going at it where they're wearing the gloves and the mask. It's like,
why? What's that?
It's being trendy. It's 2020. Yeah. Oh yeah, this video's from 2020.
Oh God.
Like 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
If it's 2020, they're just banging Barbara Walters?
Oh my gosh, or Angie Dickinson.
No, Barbara Walters, 2020.
So if hindsight is 2020, how come nobody saw this coming?
Yeah, well, they sort of did. Well, let's not go down that road.
Well, no, because you know what? We've seen more, like I said, again, it just goes back to Saturday Night Live, the comedy rights itself. That's how it's gotten now. Mm-hmm. I mean, a myriad of times already, but it just never ceases to amaze me how it just continues and that whole thing, Well,
it's hard to find humor, trying to find entertainment, trying to find some levity.
Oh, hey, let me tell you something though. Lori Lightfoot channeled her inner mom black woman last week when everybody was down at the lake for it on a 60-degree day.
Yeah.
And she ain't playing.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Photoshop.
All the memes, yeah.
Oh yeah, all the memes.
I like
she ain't playing.
She's in on a joke.
My favorite one is the one where they photoshopped a slipper, a chancleta onto her.
Yeah, the sandal, yep. There's a lot of them out there that are really, really good. But the reason that's even there is because I saw the press conference which she talked about, and she's like, get in the house. Get in. I mean, I swear she probably wanted to say, get in the motherfucking house. Get in.
Get in.
I mean, that look on her face like she wanted to kick somebody in the butt. Like, she would have taken off her heel and smacked somebody in the head.
Yeah, it's like they arrested some pastor in California, or was it Florida? He held a mega church, like a huge stadium full of people, violating the stay-at-home code. So they arrested the pastor because he held his service in this mega church. Like, how stupid are you?
California, the fruit and nuts, of course, man.
No, it was in California? I thought it was
in Florida. It was in Florida.
See, Florida don't surprise me. Those people, what? We talk about the Florida man all the time.
And then the Florida man.
You get Jeff, Ivan and Jeff were talking at the same time. I didn't hear.
Oh, okay. You go first, Jeff.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, we've done so many Florida man, woman, children stories. I think since the existence of our podcast, it just never it behooves me how much idiocy happens over there.
Yeah, it was a mega church in Tampa.
My brethren, we are gathered here. Why are we gathered here? We're supposed to be indoors.
That's right.
Yeah,
stay the fuck at home. It's like the video I put up the other day.
Yeah, seriously.
Speaking of stay the fuck at home, has you guys seen the old bearded man with the song that's out there now?
Yes, I had it on my wall.
Yeah.
Old bearded man. I may have missed this.
The old bearded man. Oh yes, the old bearded man videos. Oh yeah, they're great.
Okay.
You need to see that. That's hysterical.
Yeah, it's on my wall.
What's this Tiger King thing that everybody?
Yeah, like this happened over the weekend. Like, what the hell is this? What
I just got Netflix. What
I'm stupid. Who is Tiger King?
Oh, you're killing me. You're the one who has Netflix.
It's a show on Netflix. That's all I know about.
Yeah, that's all I know too.
And like Cardi B wants to get him out. He wants the president to pardon him. I don't know what this is about. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean the whole political arena has got me bored.
Well, this isn't about politics. It's about Tiger King.
I don't even know what the Tiger King is.
The Tiger King.
I don't know what Tiger King is. I know what the Lion King is, and I know about that, but I don't know.
I know about the Burger King. Yeah, man.
I know about
when I get the munchies.
And the king size premium Pornhub package, but I just yeah, I'm just like, okay, Tiger King. Who the fuck cares?
No.
Doesn't Tiger King sound like snow tires or something you'd buy or some weird
Tiger
shit
King.
like that?
It sounds like
There used to be a commercial.
It sounds like some sporting goods brand or something like that.
Yeah, that too.
There used to be a commercials, and of course before you guys' time,
We are pretty young compared to you. That is true.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you guys are younger than me by a lot, and handsome too. But that's subject to conjecture. But all I know is, there used to be Tiger Paw by Firestone, and I'll talk about. So yeah, Tiger King. I can see it.
So go to the Tiger King.
I'm crazy. Come down to the Tiger King and get 3 tires, and I will throw the 4th one in for free.
Yes.
I will also throw a subscription of Premium Pornhub with your purchase of 3 Tiger King tires.
Yeah, if you go to the Tiger King, you get 2 egg rolls for free.
Two egg rolls. Two.
Yeah, seriously.
We just got Chinese delivered the other day, and the dude left it on our porch and ran back into his car.
Yeah, I think that's the going thing.
Well,
right
people
now.
are practicing the social distancing. They're doing the right thing. But we tipped him through the website, so we didn't have to actually change hands or anything like that. So.
I have gone and picked up stuff, and it's interesting because when I go to pick up stuff, they'll a couple times they'll want to hand me, and I'm like, just put it in the back seat of the car, and they're like, oh, okay. Because I don't want to touch anything. And
we're doing curbside pickups at the hardware store now too.
Are you really?
Yeah. People in the U.S. to come in.
Wait, hold on. What are people asking for is curbside pickup from the hardware store?
I need
anything and everything. They'll like tools and just basic stuff, cleaning stuff if we got it. But people just buying normal stuff. They just don't want to have to go in. So they'll either order it online through Ace Hardware's website, or they'll order it over the phone. Gary, we've been taking people's credit card numbers over the phone, which is kind of ill-advisable, but people still don't want to. They're okay. They're willing to take the risk. So,
yeah. I mean, if they're practicing social distancing, that's smart. Everybody's, there's, I don't know how it's going on in the rest of the country, but I think here in Chicago, Illinois, I think we're really, really smart about a lot of it. Although with the
I see it. I see it in my establishment. I see it every day. I see varying degrees between denial and sheer panic. I'm seeing everything in between. I'm seeing idiots who don't know how to wear a face mask. They'll have it over their mouth and not their nose. And I said people who are people who are just like, I don't care. I'm just browsing. Browsing. I'm like, I don't know. Just killing time. Like, what are you doing out here? It's like, go inside. Go home.
Get home and don't touch my shit.
Exactly. Don't bring your kids in here and have them touch everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, what am I going to do them at home?
Teach them. Learn them. Do some homeschooling.
Oh my gosh, there's a conundrum that's probably got a lot of parents.
I guess Chicago really started shipping out these electronic devices so they can do the school at home that starts in a week or two.
That sounds horrible.
From Chicago public schools.
You mean like a cattle prod?
I don't know what. Yeah, stunning. Yeah.
It's on their pinky. It's a little thing that goes on the pinky.
Stun collar, yeah.
Yeah, you got it wrong. You're George. That was not the answer.
2 + 2 is 5. Wrong. Yeah.
Shut up, you brats.
You know what would be the worst thing? Okay, if somebody decides that they're gonna forget that they programmed the computers, and all of a sudden it's attached to their phone, and then at night they're watching Premium Pornhub, and then
I thought about that. I thought about something like that, like somebody breaks in and figures out a way to use it for other stuff,
Mommy, what's all these people doing? Oh my God!
What were you teaching your child? Sex education.
But he's 8.
Excuse me, Mrs.
Wrong.
Excuse me, Mrs. Manicotti. What's an Don't put your hands there, please. Oh my God.
So anyway,
Yeah,
we're
I
all
have
doing
this-
our part to contribute and just get this over with. Let's just get this shit over with. Everybody go inside. I got shit to do this fall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously. Yeah, that,
No, we all got shit to do this fall. I mean, I'm happy to find that in the midst of all this, all these postponements and everything else that,
my friend's daughter's getting married, and it doesn't look like they're going to have a wedding now. It's terrible.
Well, and of course the other thing is, I'm hoping, there by the grace of the fates go I, that I don't end up, going toes up because I can only have 10 people at my funeral. Okay, no.
Yeah, and like people who are dying,
Okay.
and people who are, don't.
No, I'm not.
You're gonna go toes up, Ivan. You're gonna be all right. We're all gonna be okay.
especially
We're all
because the
gonna
toes will be down.
No, my toes will be down. You're right. It could totally be down, and I'll have a bottle of booze in one hand, a joint in the other, and then the whole world can kiss my ass. But
and like all these poor women who are having babies now in these hospitals, and these hospitals are trying to fill up. It's scary, man. It's awful. It sucks. Let's just get this over with, people.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay,
Demolition Man's coming to life.
Yeah, I know.
It is. And then of course now they've got a name for the babies. Now they're calling them the C-19 babies now. I mean, why would you want to put, I'm from the C-19 generation? The fuck is that? What the hell's wrong with people? Really?
Better than the millennial, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, it can't be anything after Generation X or Generation Z or whatever.
Yeah.
It's Generation G or Googleplex or something. I don't know. It's just craziness.
By the way, I'm with Mike about the social distancing thing, dude.
Me too. No,
I was at Jewel this morning. I was at the Jewels this morning.
You went to the Jewel.
He went to the deli.
Let me throw this at you, which is if you are wearing gloves and a mask, this does not mean you do not have to practice social distancing. That means you old fart who kept driving around there like Mario Andretti with a cart. Seriously. Holy I mean, people just on top of one another on a regular basis. It's like, and it wasn't even that crowded and people were doing it. And it's like, oh, God.
People don't know boundaries. They don't know boundaries.
They don't care.
They don't. It's just like like the scene out of Dirty Dancing. This is your space and this is my space. I mean, people really. Excuse me. You don't have to come next to me and go, "Hi, I want a half-pound of ham."
Well, it's weird because it's like, so I took my mom in the morning because it's the senior citizen stuff in the morning, and it's like. So it's like she'll be standing in like the aisle looking to figure out where she's going to go next because ironically, Mike, she's browsy. I love her to death, but she's browsy. What else do we need? Oh, that looks interesting. Mom, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Let's just get the stuff we need. What do you need? I don't know. Well, maybe we'll go here. We could use some butter. Maybe we don't need butter. Oh, Mom, come on. Stop it.
I think that, okay, unlike us, that we can go to a store and just get whatever it is we need to get and then get the hell out of Dodge.
That's right. Let's get out of here.
Okay, I mean, I came in for this, and this, and I'm out of here. No.
Oh, this is a man-woman problem. This is a man-woman problem.
Well, it is.
No question.
No. And the thing is, all right, God love you ladies, okay? No swiping, but you know what? You go in there with a list of the things that you want to get, but then as soon as you go down the aisle, it's like, oh, well, I could use this, and I can get that, or I could go ahead and try 2 of these, 4 of those, 6 of the others, and the next thing you know, you wonder why your cart is full.
Well, the irony. So here's the thing. I don't have even that. It's like maybe I want this brand, maybe I want that brand. Just pick one and go.
Pick one and let's get the hell out of here.
And the other part is it's like, okay, let's go get the water first because I want to put the water at the bottom of the cart.
Water. I like that.
The water. I don't know where I got my New York there.
Hey.
But, yeah, let's put the water at the bottom of the cart. No, let's go over here first. Okay, now I have to take everything out of the cart to put the damn water at the bottom of the cart.
Well, don't you have the rack at the bottom of the cart you could put the water in?
Yeah, but that's all the way at the bottom of the...
It's not convenient.
You got to reach down.
At all.
You got to reach down into that down to that rack, and hopefully you don't see the plumber's crack.
Yeah, well, and hopefully I don't end up sitting there going, "Hey, my back, holy shit!" Some of us are tall. We don't like going down there. We don't have to.
I know that floor's getting lower every year.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, man.
Yeah.
Hey, it's like that scene in Up when the two guys were fighting and they both throw out their back at the same time. It's like, okay. So are both of you guys then? So both of you guys have been going and either picking up or getting delivery from restaurants, right?
Yeah.
Well, I we have the store right next door to our place here, and so I kind of incorporated into certain little chores, like I'll grab the bags of garbage and go run them down the back stairwell, and then after I toss off the trash and everything, and as I'm social distancing from everybody, from my neighbors and everything, when I'm about 7-8 feet away, they're like, "Hi!" I'm like, "How you doing? How's everything going?" "I'm fine, Ivan. See ya." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." Come walking into the J.J. Peppers, and they've got plastic. They've totally shielded themselves now, and everything's in plastic. This hard.
Yeah, we got 3M shrink wrap over the registers too.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, so I walk in and, "Hey, how's it going, man?" "Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you're doing fine." "Okay, no problem. I'll see you in a few minutes." Because I can barely hear him because he's like, this little hole he's got there and then a little slot at the bottom in order to put the stuff where he can rig it up. And as you know, I'm a notorious chocolate milk fiend, so first thing I do, I go in there and I go ahead and I pull up the chocolate milk, and then I go ahead for check the aisles for the toilet paper and everything, and I come up with 6, and he looks at me and goes, limit 2. "Oh, okay, fine, no problem." So I put the 4.
So Jeff's question was, do you order takeout?
I know.
Well, you I don't. Jeff orders takeout. I mean, and I have yet to do the ordering, the takeout yet.
No delivery or takeout for anything?
What now?
No delivery or takeout for anything.
No, because I have my own personal chef. I don't have to worry about takeout, man. Are you kidding?
See, I've come to, I don't know about you, but I've kind of come to a conclusion that given all the headache of going to the grocery store and dealing with all the bullshit, I almost would rather either get delivery or takeout.
I like cooking. I enjoy cooking.
That's not what I mean by this. I just don't want to deal with the people anymore.
We had a issue last week because my sister wanted a big cookies this weekend, and we went to 5 stores. We couldn't find flour.
Wow.
We finally found some, but...
Well, yeah, that's a lot of work.
And the one store, we got the last dozen eggs from that store.
Yeah, no eggs today.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
No, well...
No eggs. Most of the premium brands of, water, when I say premium, I mean, like Ice Mountain, that kind of stuff, all gone.
Wow.
All the the 24 packs gone.
I think my store is run by the mafia or something, because it's like I go down there and they've got everything. It's weird. We pay through the nose for it because of the convenience.
Yeah,
but someone would rather drive a few blocks and go to a larger supermarket and pay a little less.
Yeah, which is all good and fine, but the less distancing you do, then the better off everything's going to be. So lucky, not everybody is lucky to be able to be down the street from the little mom and pop or / little convenience store that happens to be, down the street and everything. And so it's just that type of a thing, and I'll be honest with you, when we ran out of toilet paper up here, I was really iffy, that that the place was going to have any. And I walked in, and they're loaded, and I'm just like, that part about taking up 6 rolls. That's true. I actually, went up with 6 rolls. They told me, limit 2. I'm like, oh, okay.
I still remember, like, 2 days before everything went to hell in a handbasket.
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
A couple weeks ago. Literally 2 days before everything went to hell in a handbasket. I'm standing, before everybody was, like, really going nuts about this toilet paper thing, I'm standing at Jewel. They have, like, a boatload of this, and nobody said a word. And that was funny, because at the time I'm like, I think this whole toilet paper thing's overblown. I don't even feel the need to pick any up. And the next thing I know, it was like,
oops.
I mean, we had a bunch anyway, but it didn't, so you said you had some fun going on, Mike, at work? What was this? Some crazy woman?
There was a woman walking around today where she had the medical face mask over her mouth, but not her nose.
Oh, no. Did you gently ask her to put her mask over her nose, or did you just want to kick her in her ass?
No, I just shake my head and walk away in anger.
It's funny. I'm getting conflicting information on this. Initially I read that if you're not sick, it doesn't really help you to wear the face mask thing. And now they're saying, no, wear the face mask thing. And I'm like, okay.
If it's an N95 mask. But if it's like a regular dust mask from the hardware store, don't use that.
Like the cheapy, not the N95 ones, the cheapy ones that you get.
The ones that you use for like wood shop or when you use it for, when you're doing work.
Yeah. There's the medical masks, but they're not the N95s. There's like the blue ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or don't sit there and mortify your neighbors by getting one of those masks that you use for the painters use, the ones with the big.
Yeah, the respirators. Yeah.
The respirator.
I need to get a gas mask and be like, Luke, I am your
right.
father.
They're like the World War I kind of mustard gas kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the canisters on either side. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the one big one down in the middle. Now there's a menacing look. I want to get a Popeye's chicken. Can I come and order?
Well, that reminds me, I haven't tried the new Popeyes over here yet. Maybe I'll hit that tomorrow.
Maybe I have to. Maybe. And they'll actually seal the bag and bring it out on a tray, and they got gloves on. And they're very safe, very very nicely done. Mm-hmm. Seems like the fast food industry is adapting to this whole thing. In fact, Burger King right now will give you 2 children's meals with every order that you go through the drive-through. That's pretty cool, actually, trying to feed the kids, along with the adults. It's nice. It's nice.
Just like it's kind of funny because it's interesting to watch, too, what's going on kind of with the entertainment stuff. Like, for example, HBO is giving away a free week right now versus, say, Showtime, which is giving away a free month right now if you have like Comcast or something like that. So I mean, and then I don't know if we're ready to segue in yet, but yeah, the fact that CBS All Access is giving away a month for free for people to come use their service, but meanwhile you don't hear that from. I mean, I don't know. Does Netflix still have the free month? At the beginning?
I believe they do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ivan's gone through probably about 38 email addresses.
Yeah,
Jive and Ivan with an E at gmail.com.
Jive and Ivan 2.
Jive and Ivan 37.
Jive and Ivan 2 TOO2. Yeah, there you go.
Gotta get that Netflix, yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Jive and Ivan 1 plus 1 equals 69.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one
that's for the other account, for the other channel, yeah.
Oh, that's the Pornhub one.
That's the Pornhub address.
Yeah.
Jive and Ivan 1 plus 1 equals 69. I like that.
You like that 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2. Dum-dum.
So, Ivan, you've been watching anything? I know you've been doing a lot of the Facebook Lives with the spinning your records, and that's awesome. But have you been watching anything this week?
No, not really much. I mean, most of my watching is mostly, like reruns. I've been staying away from the news because I find it just leaves me tense. So I just stay away from the news. I'll see the news in nice little bite-sized morsels on the internet and things like that, but the whole sensationalistic thing that they put on television, it's just too overwhelming and too stimulating for my psyche. So it's kind of like I don't do a lot of the stuff on television as far as the news.
So what have you been watching?
Well, I've been watching I've been binging on NCIS. I've been binging on CSI. I've been binging, a lot of the older channels, Decades and Cozy TV and Antenna TV, Buzzer. I just sometimes I'll just go ahead and reach down for a movie if I'm in the mood to just drop in like a Disney cartoon or one of my old Betty Boop things or whatever, but I haven't done anything new as far as television was concerned. So I've been revisiting a lot of things, and then been on YouTube and just been going on their site and just looking for unusual content. I'm always looking for unusual content. I think I told you guys about Sita Sings the Blues, right? I think that was on another episode. I discovered that on YouTube, which I was totally fascinated by it because it was just such an entirely different adventure animated cartoon thing. I was just like, so yeah. But as far as anything else, yeah, I've been doing a lot more. I've been doing a lot more stuff on the Facebook Live and the Instagram Live. Oh, but I did have an interesting encounter, which started last week. And I know Mike knows about this. Remember the old Lovejoy Music Club that I used to go to back a number of years ago, where I used to go over to this person's house and all of his friends would be there, and we all play records for one another, and
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so, well, now I got, as of last week, I've run into friends, online that have, we've kind of gathered together. It was headed up by this gentleman named Braden McCallow. Now, this guy, is like, for some reason, he's Ivan Rivera all over again, because he's not even 16 yet and has hundreds and hundreds of 78s, and I'm thinking, I was that guy. And not to mention the fact that his mode of dress dates to like the 1920s or 30s. I mean, we're talking boaters and vests and bow ties and everything. This guy's like, he's like an old soul, in this young person's body, and extremely intelligent. As far as like his music was concerned. So he brought me in to a group of guys, and they call it It's Doo-Wop Daddy-O. And so I'm talking with this guy Josh, who is kind of what they call Fime collector, which of course, the Chicano, lowrider sector of, people with their cars and their music. And, his name is Josh. Hey, Josh. And, then there's guy Nelson from New York, not New York, I'm sorry, Atlanta. And then, Braden in Minnesota, along with Mark, who's also in Minnesota. And here, the five of us, one Saturday night, just stayed up all the way till almost 4 a.m, just playing all of our doo-wop records for one another and just trading all this information. It was just like the Lovejoy Music Club again. So it seems like the media, the internet, although we can't connect in the physical social sensibility, the digital social sensibility, it was very inviting and it was a lot of fun. And then, not to mention that also led to other things like, TJ Lubinsky. Everybody knows him for for the stuff they do on PBS, the doo-wop 50 and all those, they bring the old artists with, other additionals and bringing the old songs and stuff back on stage and everything. Yeah, T.J. Lubinsky, whose father was Herman Lubinsky, an old Savoy, but that's another story for another time. So now he's been going on Facebook Live just like me and is broadcasting from his studio. And last night he actually had a great interview with Tom Moulton. Now here's where the whole sensibility just gets far and wide, because Tom Moulton is this mix master who used to take all of these records, especially like in the disco days, the early hip hop and things like that. And he used to like do all of this beautiful remixing work and stuff. And then him and TJ were busy talking about when they did the Motown box, when they were remastering the music of Motown, and that was a real engaging conversation. I sat back and like, wow, and, I never would have thought I would have heard the voice of a guy who I've only seen his name on hundreds, if not thousands of records of my records. And now it's like, wow, I'm listening to the guy. He's talking about how he took the old original masters and how he had to go put them on the original machines and how he had to go all the way to the bald tapes. And, he just went on and on and on. It was most fascinating.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you had a good time with connecting digitally with your fellow DJs.
And what also too is and this is something I think everyone will love too if you love oldies and such. There's a station in New Jersey. It's called WOLD 107.9. They got a syndicated show, and one of my friends, PJ Nose, who was my Facebook friend, but then we just got reconnected back together again, and it's a program called Story Untold, where they go 3 hours with all of this really deep doo-wop cuts and really deep, music, and then they also have like doo-wop from all over the world. He played a doo-wop cut from Spain, and the group was called the Velvet Candles, and they were fabulous. So I was really, taken aback by this whole situation. I was like, wow, this is like really cool. And then of course you're able to text, with your fellow, admirers, online, and he takes dedications, he takes requests, he does all this stuff in real time. He has certain people that are in his audience that he'll ask them, hey, if you want to do an hour's worth of show, well, pick out 20 of your tunes. You can use your own records, or we could set it up here in the studio. I mean, it's very interactive. This show, this Story Untold by PJ Nose. So if you get a chance, check out Story Untold on 107.9, WOLD. Great show.
WOLD?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. WOLD.
Right.
And then, of course, look out for TJ Lubinsky when he pops up on the Facebook Live, and then catch his programs too. They're great. And so I've me and Julie, we were sitting here at dinner listening to the Story Untold program, and Julie could tell you, my mouth just sat open for most of it, because I'm like, wow. I mean, it's kind of like you, Mike, if you were to if they had like a show where all of a sudden, they're showing you pictures of, Fortress Maximus, Mitten Seal Box, no stickers applied, and you're like,
yeah, right. Okay. Well, I'm glad you, found something that you're connecting with people, and that's helping with this time we got to deal with social distancing, and use the internet to keep connected with our friends and people who have like-minded interests.
Yeah, it was great. It was great because also too, when you listen to the program, it's such a reminder of what we used to listen to on WFYR, Fire Radio here in Chicago back in the day, Mike, and stuff like that. It was almost like another version of Jukebox Saturday Night, or Solid Gold Saturday Night and stuff like that. It's really good. And the commercials fit right into the programming too, which is also very good.
Are they playing like vintage commercials, or are they just made commercials? Their sponsors are like made in those old style kind of
right in the old style
cartoon, the old style music beds and And
Yes.
the same styling they had in those commercials. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that was cool. Jeff, what have you been watching?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I saw Bombshell over the weekend.
How was
with
that?
what's her name? Nicole Kidman,
with Nicole Kidman and Charlize Theron,
Margot Robbie, I think.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
It's based on everything
Rupert
that
Murdoch
went on
thing,
at Fox News.
Right.
And it's interesting because Showtime has a mini series that they did with Russell Crowe,
Right.
where it was based on Roger Ailes.
Right.
So some of this I had seen from that perspective. So the acting was very well done. A really solid cast. It moved very slow. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you right now, if you told me that was Charlize Theron and not Megyn Kelly, ooh, I would be like, "Are you sure?" Because she had. I mean, she looked
her mannerisms down pat.
I mean, I had to do a double take. I'm like, "Is that really Charlotte?" I'm like, "Who's playing Megyn Kelly?" I'm like, "Charlize Theron." Wow.
Yeah, she was
really?
the bald chick in the Mad Max movie.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, they really made her look like.
She's accomplished actress. She's a good actress. She's been Oscar nominated for other stuff too. So
right. But I mean, literally, you wouldn't. It looked like Megyn Kelly. You would think that they got Megyn Kelly to do this, and yeah, solid acting, but there's parts where it just got slow and it got tedious, and the storytelling could have been a little better. I'll say 3.5. Yeah, man, it's out of 5.
Okay.
I would say for the acting, I would give it 5. But right. Yeah, it moves a little on the slow side. It could go a little faster, and yeah, it could be better that way. The cast is really solid. It just seems like they could have made that a little bit faster paced and made the movement better. Mike, you'll get a kick out of this. I rewatched Bumblebee over the weekend.
That's cool.
Okay.
I rewatched Bumblebee over the weekend and again enjoyed it. Then I don't know why I stayed up to watch Transformers: Dark Side of the Moon.
Okay. Well, Dark of the Moon had, arguably, I'd say that was like the second best one out of all the Bay films. Now, the two with Marky Mark, I cannot watch those. Those are awful.
Oh, I don't have a huge. Well, the last one with Marky Mark was bad.
Oh, the last night was abysmal. It was awful.
That thing was bad.
I couldn't finish it. I saw it once in the theater. That was it. I couldn't stand it.
I saw that in the theater, and it was funny. I had friends of mine going, "Why are you going to see this in the theater?" I'm like, because you know what? Usually, it's a Michael Bay popcorn movie, and if I'm going in the afternoon, it should be good enough entertainment. But that was the first time of any of them where I was literally like, yeah, this was no.
That's it. I'm doing him.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, it was bad.
But Dark of the Moon had its good points too.
No, I thought it was. I don't know why. I'm not as bad on Michael Bay as a lot of people are. I'm okay with let's blow up everything in sight. Have it's a genre. That's what he does. How is that different than? Did people complain about Ed Wood this much, or other people who have their little quirks about how they produce films? I mean, it's Michael Bay. This is what you're going to get.
That's right. You know what? It's like that. What was that one movie he made with Ryan Reynolds? There's like another heist movie they did. Is that coming out soon, or what's happening with that?
Well, there was one that they did. There was one that they did on Netflix.
Yeah,
it's Michael Bay and Ryan Reynolds that I saw. It was actually, it's funny. I watched that right after I got done with The Irishman because we called it a palate cleanse.
You couldn't.
We called it a palate cleanse.
You needed it exactly. Yeah.
You need to be cleansed out of that.
It was like you know what? A Michael Bay film sounds perfect right now. Because it's like, I need something along those lines.
But just motorcycles driving through plate glass windows and explosions and hot chicks and guns.
That was my complaint about the Michael Bay.
And hyper-editing cutaways and
Exactly.
In fairness, that was my complaint about the Michael Bay Netflix Ryan Reynolds thing, was the girl, you don't get the gratuitous hot chick Megan Fox or whatever the other one's name is shot that you get in all the Michael Bay films in that one. I mean, there are some really gorgeous women in it, of course, but not like it's like, I think someone said, hey, Mike, you gotta tone that down for the Me Too generation now, or something, so.
Michael Bay does what Michael Bay wants. He got all that Paramount money, all that Transformer money. Whatever he wants.
Yeah, so he does what he wants.
Yeah. Did you see Pain, Jeff, did you see Pain and Gain?
Pain and Gain.
With The Rock and Mark Wahlberg?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you should see it for pure entertainment value. The Rock has some good moments in it.
I guess as long as we're on The Rock, I guess they greenlit the next Hobbs and Shaw movie.
Okay.
A sequel. In fairness, you know what?
And
I know you like the Hobbs and Shaw.
I thought, hey, look, I had the same reaction you did when I initially was, all right, and it was a friend of mine who was just like, oh, let's go see it. And I'm like, all right. And I went in with this movie, all right, it is what it is. But I was pleasantly surprised. I was truly entertained, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm entertained by the idea of a second Fast and Furious franchise beyond the usual Fast and Furious. And if anything, if I were them, I would think about, can you take anybody else and spin them off into another set of movies? Because Universal could use it.
Like for a bunch of hot chicks.
Well, no, I mean, even like, for example, I'm trying to think who else is in the Fast and Furious? You've got Vin Diesel. You've got Michelle Rodriguez. Who else is in there? See, the problem is that outside of The Rock and Jason Statham, I mean, the only one who could really keep a franchise going is what's his name? I mean, Vin Diesel's the big name. Everybody else is kind of like,
Yeah, they're all secondary.
They're really all kind of secondary. Well, depends on how this John Cena thing goes. But we're not going to find out for another year now. So
right.
By the way, John Cena a little bit better than I thought he was in Bumblebee. Or at least better than I remember it being.
Well, there you go.
I don't know why.
Yeah, he was fine.
I'm willing to stay up weirdly to watch Dark Side of the Moon. Or is it Dark Side of the Moon?
Just Dark of the Moon, not Dark Side.
Dark of the Moon, whatever.
Well, I guess now that, we're revisiting certain things, I guess we just got a different slant on it now than when we did watch certain things initially. Because I also tend to think that when you watch it the first time and then you're like, it depends on the mood in which you watched it. And then now you have an opportunity to just look at it and then look at it from a different perspective, a different plateau, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, wait a minute, okay, this is really kind of cool. I mean, I didn't appreciate it the first time around, but now here it is the second time around, and then you start to notice things that swept past you the first time, and then you start noticing the intricacies and some of the dynamic of the movie, because now you're doing it in a point of
noticing stuff you missed is ancillary, though, because it's about how your perception of the film changes. Do you like it more? Do you like it less? Do you enjoy it just as much?
Here's the one thing. Yeah. Here's the one thing I noticed from that movie.
What's that?
There's Optimus Prime, and then there's the rest of the Autobots.
Yeah.
And the rest of the Autobots aren't very good.
Well, they only had like a couple seconds of screen time. That was it.
I know, but even then, they're just like
even the one who died before, like the two Decepticons, like cut him in half because when they found out where Bumblebee was. They didn't have enough time to shine. That was the big complaint, because that's what the hardcore fans want. We want a full-length, fully CG film set on Cybertron. Instead, we got a 5-minute snippet that was leaked a couple months before to help raise, to get hype for this film. But the whole movie takes place on Earth.
Well, I was thinking about the other one too, with the Dark Moon thing.
Dark of the Moon,
Yeah, Dark of the Moon.
One brief scene, and the cast.
Optimus comes in and basically does everything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple scenes where Bumblebee kind of looks like you can tell he's kind of a badass.
Yeah.
But really, at the end of the day, it's like he's the Diana Ross and they're the freaking Supremes or the Michael Jordan and the
exactly, yeah.
Optimus Prime centric movie, so okay.
Well, no, he didn't seem like he did all the hero stuff, and all the other characters like the Wreckers and Q and Sideswipe and Ratchet, they didn't do much at all.
No,
there's one scene where Ironhide and Sideswipe took out a bunch of dreads before Sentinel Prime killed Ironhide, but that was it. Yeah, you're right. The Autobots didn't do very much as far as that, but Bumblebee did a couple things.
I've noticed that in some of the other Bay movies, that it's really just all about Optimus Prime.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really is. I mean, the only thing that said, Optimus Prime right now, in terms of name recognition, is right up there with some, he was
Spider-Man.
Look,
yeah,
Spider-Man or somebody like that. So
that was when the first
positive.
Yeah, when the first movie came out in 2007, we were so excited because the Transformers were put in the forefront of pop culture in 2007. So now, Optimus Prime is synonymous with your major superheroes of the time.
Well, here's the thing too.
So
cool. When you look at the first movie, the first Michael Bay movie, and I noticed that in the first Michael Bay movie, it seemed like, Jazz and all the rest of those Autobots seemed to have a lot more time on screen and it seemed like their time decreased as time went on. I mean, I bet, the battle scenes where Jazz,
five movies in, this is still like the Autobots are being treated like just special effects. They're not. The story is set is human centric, and we're frustrated by that.
Well, yeah, and if you're going to go ahead, I mean, just my opinion, if you're going to go ahead and address something as huge as the Transformers, make it where, okay, the light doesn't always shine down on the human element of the movie, and give the people, give the fans the Cybertron sensibility. Give them that movie.
Well, I think that's what they're going to do with this Netflix series. It's going to be more geared toward the older collectors. They had the Cyberverse YouTube show that was, for the kids to sell the Cyberverse line. But then this Netflix series is going to be more towards all CG. It's going to be all on Cybertron, no humans. It's going to be about, the nitty-gritty of the war. So we're getting what we want, but we wanted it in the live action on the big screen.
The screen, right. So,
I just don't know that would sell to a general audience.
If it's done right.
Well,
maybe.
Okay, but then see, also you figure you're talking about a line that's been around since 1984, if I'm correct. And
yes.
Okay, so as far as we coming up in that sensibility, do you think that the new generations would have the same appreciation for it that we do as a series, against the fact that, well, maybe the series might spin off into maybe one more really big movie?
Only time will tell, but this Netflix series will help with that.
Yeah, I do think that some of that kind of stuff is going to be a little bit more helpful. The problem is, it kind of goes back to, I think the answer to your question, Ivan, is it depends on the person. Like, for example, there are people I know who are friends of mine who've never seen a Marvel movie and don't know anything about them, about MCU, and don't know anything about some of these things. And when I get all gleeful and excited about some of this stuff, they have this look on their face like, yeah, whatever, or I don't understand, or I don't get it, or I don't see it.
I don't get your joy.
Right, I don't get it. So I wouldn't be shocked that there are people whose reaction is, Transformers, but yeah, the odds of the fact that, given it's been 40 something years now, yeah,
it'll be 40 in 4 years.
Oh, 40. Well, okay, so over somewhere in the mid 30s,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there are people who, that it's working out to advantage. And the best comp I can give you to that is when the initial X-Men movies came out. It took them decades,
a long time.
I mean, decades to get the X-Men on the main screen, and people were complaining about it in the 80s, and it took them until the 2000s to get them on screen.
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the first X-Men, I think it was 2000, wasn't it?
Right, something like that.
Yeah, 99 or 2000.
So there's my thing. Okay, I think if you're going to approach a subject matter where that it deserves all the props that it deserves, I think the time span should be much smaller, should be a little bit more faster, so that way it stays within the frame of a generation instead of having to be spread out across multi-generations where may or may not, the meaningful situation may or may not be lost on some people.
No. I mean, no, because, it depends. Like I said, it depends. There are people who, there are kids who are absolutely into Transformers at this point because of these movies and all of that. It's just a matter of like here, let's go a different direction. While Transformers has been, because both are Hasbro brands, so let's go this direction, which is, while Transformers has done wonders for Hasbro in terms of movies, meanwhile G.I. Joe is floundered.
Yeah.
And hasn't nearly had the success that Transformers has, and
right.
they in some ways, you've got people questioning whether G.I. Joe is even a possibility in today's world with the way things are. Although I believe there's a Snake Eyes movie coming out or something along those lines.
Yeah, there was one in development, I believe. They've mm-hmm. Like I said, they're launching. We talked about this earlier in the year when Toy Fair came out, and they launched their 6-inch line of the figures based on the 80s when G.I. Joe was at its height.
What's
in the
that?
80s with the G.I. Joe cartoon, which is now all free on YouTube now.
Yeah, that's the one with Cobra, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it from this point of view. I think, because, okay, the origin of the whole G.I. Joe thing, was created during a time and place where such things were still that whole sensibility of hoorah,
Well, yeah, there was a patriotism, in the 80s versus the Soviet Union and all that. That fueled that. No doubt.
Keep in mind too, before they created the G.I. Joe team, there was just the G.I. Joe guy doll.
Yeah, there was the 12-inch doll, yeah.
There was a 12-inch, which also had a distinct line of toys that went,
right.
Yeah. And so that, the translation from the sensibilities of, say, the 60s Joe, which kind of got energized again with the 80s Joe. But now, the 80s Joe trying to transcend that time into the 2020 Joe.
But here's the question.
What?
Here's the interesting question, which is,
okay,
when they went to go try to relaunch, because I know they did try to do another G.I. Joe cartoon, or they did I can't remember if they did or they didn't.
They've done a couple of the cartoons. I think when the Hub launched in 2010, they had a show called Renegades.
Yeah.
So they've tried to bring back the G.I. Joe line.
Right, and the point being is, I think there's an example of where, right, especially considering the fact where things are now,
Right.
where does, okay, the obvious answer is you need a G.I. Joe cartoon. Okay, where does it go? Where do you place it where people are going to watch it? And some people go, online, but that's really
that's always the easiest answer now.
right.
Is to go ahead and do online.
No, I'm going to the thrift store to buy the VHS tapes for 50 cents. That's where I'm going to get my G.I. Joe fix.
Okay, and not only that, the fact that, but the thing about that too.
No, why aren't you going to go get them on beta?
Yeah. Get them on Betamax.
There you go. You got a machine in the garage there. but what I'm saying is that okay, it comes down to, what do you do with an old soldier like me? That's what it's become. Because, G.I. Joe, I mean, the 60s to the 2020s, we're talking 55 plus years since its inception.
Yeah, but the 80s cartoon created an iconic line of characters that Hasbro is hoping that nostalgia will feed that and resuscitate it with the 6-inch line that's coming. And maybe I think there's an app game or something where you can still have like Destro and Duke and Scarlet and all those iconic characters.
It's funny. That's actually the better answer on how to relaunch it.
Yeah.
Is if you had a 360 game or a Sony PlayStation game that got to be a hot game or something like that.
Because G.I. Joe tried to go the big budget Transformer route, and it failed.
Right. It's not that they failed. Well, is it? Yeah, I guess they did fail.
The thing is, we've learned in retrospect that Michael Bay fought to keep G.I. Joe out of Transformers and vice versa. They didn't want an aligned continuity where G.I. Joe and Transformers could be in the same route because he wanted to keep it himself or something.
Well, it's funny though because it would have worked.
They want to keep the purity of it.
It's not about purity. It's just, I think it's just part of Michael Bay's ego.
I will say it would have worked. It would have worked, especially with the way that Bay, like you guys were talking about, where Bay spent too much time on the humans. It would have worked to have G.I. Joe
in place of
Hasbro wanted that collaboration, and there have been, especially in the comic books.
Yeah,
because there have been lots of G.I. Joe Transformer crossovers, and none of them really kind of stick. None of them really been.
I think that was a fear of it, though, because it didn't stick in the comic books. Why are we going to go ahead and spend millions of dollars if it didn't, work within the framework?
Because Hasbro sees what Marvel did, and we want our own, cinematic universe. But it just didn't happen. I mean, they're talking about putting like Rom and Mask and the Micronauts. I'm like, none of that shit happened. Because nobody cares about Rom and Mask and the Micronauts. A very small percentage of people.
Because they're trying to relaunch.
They're busy trying to figure out what to do with Transformers, their biggest brand.
Right. Well, but they're trying to launch that.
Their most highest, their highest selling brand.
Well, Hasbro, I think, has the license to Star Wars too, but that's just the merchandise line. It's not one of their properties, so to speak.
See, here's the amusing part to me. Here's the interesting part to me.
What's that?
They're spending a lot of. It's funny how they're spending. Although I have heard rumblings that this is changing, but it's funny because they're spending a lot of time on like Micronauts and Mask, like you said, and ROM, and talking about this shared universe. Here's the interesting irony on all this.
What's that?
Hasbro has access to do one of the biggest shared universes in the entire world. And it would make sense, and the irony is they haven't done shit with it. Because the last I checked, Hasbro still owns Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah, they did. They tried a couple Dungeons & Dragons movies, and those they weren't very good.
No.
But now that Dungeons & Dragons is hot again,
true.
I think in the hands of the right people, I think Dungeons and Dragons can make an inroad to popularity.
Especially now, yeah.
It's been, I mean,
if they do like a Jumanji kind of route, where it's like, I've been sucked into the game, and maybe something like, maybe that route might do it. I don't know. Or if they'll go based on the old 80s cartoon. Who knows?
I just am surprised because there's your opportunity. There's so much material there that with different realms and different things that go on that you could easily create that kind of universe and it would all make sense. But
Jeff, you being the game master that you are, and the fact that, do you think maybe I know the popularity of the games of Dungeons and Dragons 5.0 and such.
5.0?
Yeah, they're at 5 now. They're at
5th edition, yeah.
5th edition.
Yeah, 5.0. But the thing about it is, if they were to go ahead deeper into that whole, 5th edition to the point where it gets the motivation to work something, be it a series, be it maybe a big-time movie, again, just in the hands of the right director.
Well, here's the interesting part.
Producer.
Here's the interesting part, Ivan. You've got a lot of people. And I haven't really watched this stuff, but my understanding is you've got these celebrities who are playing celebrity Dungeons and Dragons games that are making huge numbers on YouTube. So if they're a bunch of these celebrities who are truly out there and enjoy playing D&D as much as I hear, I can't imagine that there aren't some of them who are sitting there going, yeah, I'll do a Dungeons and Dragons movie tomorrow. Right. Not to mention, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I know Joe Mantegna is big on Dungeons and Dragons. I think he's one of the guys who's big on it, where he's doing stuff. Matter of fact, wasn't there a story we did recently where Chris Pratt and
Tom Holland
were like, oh, we should get the MCU crew together and play a Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah.
That would be extraordinary. That would be extraordinary.
Right. But, Mantegna's had, The Rock on, when they've run those games. They don't get – sometimes they're getting smaller celebrities, but they're getting bigger celebrities to play too. And to me, I kind of sit there and I'm like, well, okay, if these celebrities are playing these games, it's just a matter of time until somebody either figures it out, writes the right script, or they get the right people involved. And
or even if they don't go into live action, look at all the voice actors, look at all the CGI animation, if you're even going into that realm too. All these people could get involved in that way as well.
Right.
So, the talent pool is there.
Well, the interesting part is too, see, this is when things can get interesting. Like, for example, Hasbro. No, is Transformers Paramount still, or is it?
Yeah,
Universal?
it's Paramount.
Is it Paramount?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for example, Paramount is technically part of the Paramount, CBS, all that family. And so to me, I kind of laugh because it's like, okay, you want to find a way to bring some extra life to CBS All Access. Okay, create a Dungeons and Dragons show.
There you go.
But they're not going to do that because that has to do with what they own versus what they don't own.
Well, it's that whole Fox studio against Fox Television against that whole thing again.
Well, it's not just them; it's everybody. Everybody. It's just like what we talked about the other day about Cartoon Network, where literally the only things that air on Cartoon Network are the things that they themselves produce because they make more money.
Yeah.
Because
that's why Hasbro collaborated with Discovery Family or Discovery Network to create the hub, because Hasbro was tired of Cartoon Network giving their Transformer cartoons really bad time slots.
Right, because they don't care about that.
No. They don't care about that. They didn't care about a lot of that, and that is why when you watch everything on Cartoon Network now and the distinctive look of what has become the look of Cartoon Network, which, I'm sorry, it seems monopolistic in its design. The only thing that that it seems to be making a whole lot of noise. I mean, yeah, okay, they've got some shows on Cartoon Network that are view worthy, okay, but especially in the wake of Steven's Universe, which just concluded, and half the world's crying about the fact that it's gone now, and and from my understanding, yeah, a whole generation grew up with Steven's Universe, but then you look at Thundercats, and you're kind of like, and then you look at the new revised Powerpuff Girls. I'm sorry, it's no Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory. It's not Ed and Eddie, and any of that, because they were all very distinctively designed, very distinctively written situations. I could.
Well, let's put this in perspective, which is,
okay,
if it wasn't for the fact that Tiny Titans is the most popular show on Cartoon Network, or Teen Titans Go, is it Teen Titans Go, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah,
whatever what it is. If it wasn't the most popular show by far,
it's like what SpongeBob is for Nickelodeon.
Right. If it wasn't the most popular show by far,
none of the rest
wouldn't be on there. And when I say it wouldn't be on there because they have to pay for that.
Right.
They have to pay more to have that show, even though it's the same freaking company, but they have to pay more. That's why DC Universe exists, and that's why that Harley Quinn thing, which would be perfect for Adult Swim, okay?
Right.
But that'll never get on there. Just like the Young Justice thing that originally aired back on Cartoon Network that Netflix wanted, and then it ended up being on DC Universe. That won't air there either. Why? Because it has to do with how that company runs things, and so as a result, it makes no sense. But to their bookkeeping, it costs them more to run that shit than it does to run whatever the hell they're making on their own.
Right, and the thing about it is that, but the thing about it is, the in-house stuff, it shows, okay, and I don't want to sound mean, but it shows just how cheap and corner-cutting it is, and to the frustration of a lot of fans who, okay, you think of Thundercats, and then you got this thing, where it's the button of everybody's joke now when you watch the new Thundercats. Okay, it's just
I think that show's done. I mean, we've been talking about it for 2 years and it hasn't happened. So I don't think the show's going to happen because no one cares about it.
I don't even know if nobody cares. By the way, I don't think that show was going to be on Cartoon Network, was it?
Yeah,
we talked at one of the first episodes of our podcast.
Right.
I made a point of going back there to one of the first episodes, and they showed a teaser picture of the new Thundercats series.
Yeah,
and it's now we're almost 2 years on, and we've not seen one episode yet. I think that show's done. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well,
unless it came out and that was that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it came out, and I think it sank like a stone. I think is what happened with that. Just like a lot of their in-house product, they put it out there, and then it sinks like a stone because why? It's the design of the cartoons that are just very standard,
and it's the mood of the show. I mean, Thundercats was not all about this kind of comedy, lighthearted shit.
No. Okay, that would be just like trying to take Disney's Gargoyles and then dumbing it down for the animators to say, oh, okay, I'm going to go against this beautiful sketch of the gargoyle, and then I'm just going to sit here and make it look like a kindergarten kid drew it.
But I'll tell you right now, for example, and look, Titans is a great example. Look,
it is.
I grew up on Titans in the 80s, and
okay.
when they came out with that Teen Titans cartoon, I banged my head into a wall 15 times because I'm sitting there going, this is not what I want. But the truth is, it's not about what I want. It's about the fact that they can bring in 10-year-olds who up until that point didn't know these characters, and they got popular. Just like the Teen Titans Go is going for even younger, and it's still getting it's making those characters popular. The only thing that's interesting about it is, like, for example, Starfire, like, they went and launched a few years back, they went and launched a Starfire book, and the Starfire book was more targeted towards older readers. And there were things in there that, 14-year-old girls who were like, oh, Starfire, I want to buy a Starfire book. And they're like, they would, Mommy, what's Starfire doing here? And it's like, this is not what my kids should be reading, blah, blah, blah. And people were mad. And it's like, yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, what happened? Is DC still doing that Black Label or whatever they called it?
I don't know what they're doing. They've been ever since they got rid of Dan Dio, they've been
the books have been
tight-lipped. Well, between that and what's going on with everything
the current
right
state
now,
of the world,
now it's
in
really
comics.
tight-lipped because it's like, who knows what's happening? Because
Well, I mean, the thing that's happening now in the world is definitely going to have a long-standing effect far beyond when all this is behind us, because it's going to be the thing that's going to be in the psyche of all the people for the next at least few years. And do you think that comic books, as well as other things, movies and series, do you think there's going to be an adverse effect after all this is said and done?
in terms of what?
Well, in terms of content, in terms of writing, in terms of representation of how the pictures are created. I mean, are the adult readers still going to be there? Are the kids coming up in this particular time place, and as they get older, I mean, it's when they start becoming older readers, they're going to look back and like, wow, yeah. And
so the question becomes, it depends. So there's a lot of ways to answer that question.
Yes, please.
And I'll give you this as an anecdotal example, which is back in the late 80s or in most of the 90s, Marvel was kicking the crap out of DC in terms of total sales, and everybody was talking about the X-Men. And DC fans, all they had to do was go, yeah, that's great. We had another Batman movie. It made more money than
all the books you sold last year.
Right.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, more than all the books you sold in the last 3 years.
Right.
In the last 3 years. And maybe 5, maybe 10. And so, but, and that's how the argument used to go. Here's where the interesting part is now. And that's part of where the conversation is interesting, which is there's been talk about all this stuff about, okay, maybe you don't have to have the actual comics out there. And it's like, but this is where you get your ideas to generate stories, to create characters, so you can make these multi-billion dollar entities.
Billion-dollar entities, right.
I was just thinking, just a quick side note, I was just thinking about what would have happened if Endgame was coming in this year.
Oh, my God.
In this current state of where theaters closed and no streaming.
Yeah.
What if Endgame was coming this year? They're like, all the nerds would be losing their shit.
Well, I guess we got the Thanos snap is what really happened.
Yeah, true. We're in a way, we're kind of dealing with that.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
In a way.
A lot of things, there's a lot of things that, when you look at the things that we have read in comic books, the things we have seen in movies and in television shows, and then to be in the thick of it right now.
Well, the thick of it being we just have to stay home and wash our hands.
I've been training my whole life.
Yeah, but I'm saying you're looking at it from outside your window, just personal experience, and when I walk outside, and here's a city that is filled with all manner of sounds. I mean, both violent and general. And then just the ominous
General
quiet.
Sounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had General
Being
Sounds
honest.
chicken the other day. We had ordered Chinese.
No, but no, I'm talking about,
I had Mongolian beef.
you know. I need two eggs.
I hear
But,
you, Ivan. I hear you. These are unusual times we're living in, and the fiction we enjoy is helping us as a coping mechanism.
Right.
How soon until we get a COVID-19 movie?
There's lots of movies, that deal with pandemic.
No, I mean a specific COVID-19 movie. You know they're coming. You know
it's coming. It's somebody's writing it right now as we speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know that they're coming.
Like, you know what? They're writing it as we speak.
As soon as we can all go outside, they're going to start filming. You know it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Because do you think they're going to let?
There'll be a TV movie out in the spring, I'm sure.
Right. Do you think that they're going to let this be forgotten or let this, fade into the ether? No. This to them, this is writer's gold.
Well, this is history, is what we're living through.
Well, that's right. But for the fact that somebody's going to actually type this thing out on their laptop and just put it out there for all to see, it's going to be like, and then all of us saying, "Yeah, we've been there."
Did you see the Fox special at all, Ivan? The music thing that Elton John put on Fox yesterday? On Sunday?
I did not.
I did.
Yeah, I watched some of it. I missed David Grohl at the beginning.
Speaking of David Grohl, if you have an opportunity, sidebar.
Your Honor. Objection.
Yeah. Well, here's
Sustained.
the thing. What I mean by that is, boys, that if you ever see the motion picture Sound City,
Ivan, I've talked about it years ago. Oh yeah,
but
I've seen it. It's very good.
Yeah, so I'm just saying I don't think Jeff has seen it. I think he'll find it interesting, about that. But
about how that mixing board came from. It's in Dave's studio now.
Yeah, one of 4 in the whole world.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Hey.
Yeah, it was good, but I missed the first half of the Fox special. But it was interesting. I hope the charities got a lot of money for it because that's really bad.
So let me ask you a question, Mike, because you watched it. Did you feel uncomfortable watching these people in their homes that clearly were like out of something you saw at MTV Cribs, where you're like, yeah,
where like, especially,
like
it was painfully obvious when the guy from Green Day was singing, and he had like the guitar just positioned just so on the couch, and everything is just perfect. It was like, this is how I live. Like, no, this is how you set it up for the cameras.
Right.
No. But there was the one guy, I can't remember who it was. Who was the one who was like singing by the pool with his kids and
that was Tim McGraw. Yeah, he was his bandmates were Skyped in or whatever. They were like all like recorded. I don't know if it was pre-recorded at all or not, but he's sitting on the diving board of his swimming pool and he's trying to get his dog to come up on the board with him as he's straddling the diving board, singing along to his bandmates who are recorded it earlier or whatever. But I just hope that they've raised awareness about like younger people should not do the meetups and stay away from each other and wash your hands and all that shit. I hope it raised awareness and I hope it raised some money. That's what it's about.
I mean, I do too, but I did think it was interesting because I don't think anybody.
But a lot of it was just crafted. I mean, it's not live from the living room. All of this shit is pre-recorded. You know this.
Yeah, it was not live.
It was not live. Live my ass.
Produced. It was produced.
Yes.
It was. It was produced in advance, and it was all put together before they. Not to say that they weren't live performances, but yeah, I felt like, hey, you guys should all give while I sit in my really nice, gigantic living room.
From their $1 million mansions.
For your $1 million mansion. And I'm like, hey, here's an idea. Maybe you should give. And I'm not saying that they're not, but it's like,
Why you asking me?
Was just. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No, but I think when I see a star on television who makes a gazillion more dollars than I do, for them to ask me to give when right now I'm not receiving any extra money or have any extra finances, I'm barely getting by.
Well, but like I said, at least usually it's the telethon look, so you don't see anybody in their homes.
They did show some websites you can go to donate,
right?
Okay, but I think a more modest presentation may have been in order when you're.
Well, the problem is you couldn't do a more modest presentation.
They tried to be modest with just like singing from their couches or whatever.
Right. The problem is the backdrop from the couch was like, and you look like you're living in a freaking mansion.
Yeah,
you're in a mansion, man. You're at your pool. You got your purebred dog. You got the spoils of all the things. And I'm not saying they didn't deserve their spoils.
Right? Oh no. But it's hard to sit there and go, hey, yeah, I don't know where my next paycheck's coming. But you go right ahead and you tell me while you're sitting in front of your gigantic pool.
Well, see, but you see this, Jeff. Okay, so it's not lost on you, and it's not lost on you, Mike. So you get where I'm coming with this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. No,
but not everybody sang. There were just some. I think like Ellen DeGeneres and Lady Gaga. They just went on and made a quick message or whatever.
Right. If anything, the things that actually were really cool were in between. The musical, the music, was the little stories from all the different, frontline workers and all that stuff. If anything, those were the pieces that were really compelling to me.
Yeah.
That were...
Just talking to ordinary people, yeah.
Yeah. That's what probably would have got my attention.
Yeah. But I sang along with Elton at the end when he's singing, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Everyone in the room with me sang along at the end, Because he's just playing on a cheap ass keyboard in his kitchen,
Yeah, well, there you go. See, he brought the modesty to his performance, which that would have been more something that I would have liked to have seen than somebody in their expensive mansion or in their expensive pool with their expensive
When I see Madonna in her swimming pool or in her bathtub filled with rose petals.
Okay, wait, I would have liked to have seen that.
I would have liked to have seen that.
That I would like to have seen.
I mean, but that's Madonna's style. It's the shock factor with Madonna. It's always been the shock factor with Madonna. But I would have mind watching Madonna in her rose petal filled bathtub. Okay, great.
It was interesting too because it was like,
and someone in the room was playing piano as she was in the tub. It's like, what the fuck? Anyway, whatever. But I just hope that they raised a lot of money, and if I can find the website addresses, I'll post them to the Squares page. Be sure they get the attention they deserve.
By the way, speaking of the attention that they deserve, great segue.
I guess
everyone
I don't know. Depends where we're going.
Yeah, where are we going, Ivan?
Well, everyone that has given to the service industries. I know there were a lot of them on Facebook and a lot of them on Instagram. For those of you who have given to the service industry, to the places that you have gone to, Logan Arcade, Cafe Mustache, Kohl's, many. I mean, I'm just coming off with a few of the names off the bat. I want to say thank you from the bottom of their hearts because not only have they been able to maintain stability in these hard times, and I also want to especially thank the people at Logan Arcade because they're making sure that my lost gigs are being paid for.
Wow!
And which was I was here in my phone and I got the call and I was so overwhelmed with the news of all the help that I've received, not only in just financials, but actually the fact that there were a lot of behind-the-scenes things happening that I would have never thought would have gotten to me in the direct sense that it did. And it just goes to show there are lots and lots and lots and lots of good people in the world. And in Chicago, and in all the people that have done so much for those of us who have served your drinks, cleaned your bar, took care of your tab, performed, to DJ for you, to take the drinks to your tables, to service all the people, who brought your food, who waitered for you, your waitresses for you, your bar backs. But I just want to say thank you from the bottom of their hearts, and I'm saying, to all the people at Logan Arcade, thank you from the bottom of my heart that, you time and again have continually strived to make our part of the world a better place, and thank all of you for helping them out in order for them to keep on keeping on.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, it's an important time to be sure that the proper charities get help. Hear the shit about what Hobby Lobby did?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Crap, man.
That's
I don't want to get too far into it, but this is it's awful.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
That was shit.
Yeah.
Whole Foods, same thing.
Yeah. Whole Foods, I guess they're planning a walkout, some of the employees.
Well, yeah, that's Amazon.
No, Amazon too.
Right, but Amazon owns Whole Foods.
And then Instacart, the delivery service, same thing.
They're stretched to belief, they're stretched to the limit because
it's
people
funny
are
though, because I had a friend of mine tell me that,
but it's about the protection and everything. Nobody's putting protection as the first line of defense for these people.
Well, I'll tell you this. I had a friend of mine who I know works at Jewel told me that Jewel has given pretty much all the workers there a $3 raise right now per hour. So
I think Target did that too. I think everyone across the board got a raise. And you heard the story about what the CEO of Texas Roadhouse. He donated his annual salary to all the waiters and cooks.
Now we're hearing that about Disney. The only thing is about their annual salary is I'm curious what that is versus what they make in dividends and other. I don't know. I shouldn't complain. It's just to me it just seems. I would like to see more from certain parts of the business community than what I'm seeing. It's funny. By the way, there were some season finales that I had seen, but I'll hold them for the next show. But I know, Mike, you wanted to talk about Picard.
Yeah, yes. I finished mainly because I can't hook up with my wife Bill. Because being, socially isolated and all that, trying to, flatten the curve and all that. But CBS All Access made a month free, so I took full advantage, and I finished Star Trek Picard, Season 1.
Yeah.
And it was okay. I wasn't blown away by it, but it was just good for me.
That's what I keep hearing from people.
It was just good.
It's just entertaining. It's entertainment.
Yeah, it was all right, and I didn't hate it. But there was parts of it like, but other parts were like, yeah, that was cool. But not to put it, I'm not going to throw any spoilers out there for anything. But it deals with the events took place. Was it 15? This takes like 15 years after. Was it Star Trek Nemesis? Was the last? Yeah, it was the last TNG movie. And deals with more hijinks with synthetics being like androids, sort of androids like Data, and the Romulans are heavily involved to a point, but not like the Romulans as a whole, because this still takes place in this is where the Kelvin timeline, which is what the J.J. Abrams movies is, because we still saw the destruction of the Romulan homeworld in this continuity. So Picard's trying to deal with these Romulan refugees, and now the Romulans are dispersed across the galaxy. They don't have a home. But at the same time, they have this ulterior motive as to wanting to eliminate all of the synthetics. But the show was, was what, 9 episodes in, was season 1 of Picard, and I wanted more in some regards. And some of these other characters, I really don't care about. They want us. They really, really, really want us to care about these characters, and they're good actors. No jab against them, but I'm just not interested. And all we got was just like one episode where Picard visits Troy and Riker in their semi-retirement home, and their little, their place where they're, little carved there where they've, little, what you call it, they're hanging out. But no, I'm just, it was just okay. Yeah, it was just okay.
You're not completely sold on it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what season 2 does.
I feel like the best answer I've heard about Picard is it's better than Discovery.
And Discovery was just season 1 of Discovery was not as good as season 2. Season 2 would really hit its stride with Discovery, but season 1 I was like, Again, it's like it just doesn't feel like Trek to me in the same sense. It's changed after the Abrams movies. Trek on television has changed, and not just because of the violence and the swear words and whatnot. Mm-hmm. It's different. The mood has changed, and it's far cry from Gene Roddenberry's Utopia that he promised, in the Century, which had me get back to because Star Trek Continues keeps doing like viewing parties of their episodes of Star Trek Continues, and I watched the finale of their series, their season they did, which is pretty much like their 5-year mission came to an end. The original series, and Vic, what's the name? Vic, what's his last name? Dang it. But anyway, this is all his baby, but they show the Enterprise going into dry dock, and he's been promoted to Admiral, and they're setting this scene for Star Trek, the motion picture, and that was really fun to watch. But Picard was it was okay for me. I didn't hate it, but it's like parts of it like okay. But I guess they're news stories. These are headlines now, so these aren't really spoilers. But Brent Spiner says he'll never play Data again, which is a little sad. But at the same time, they put a pin in it with season 1 finale of Picard as far as Brent Spiner being Data, which is whose character died 18 years prior to what this episode is, whatever. But in Nemesis, but it was just okay for me. I can't say it was great, but I can say it was just it didn't suck. So I was right in the middle of the road.
So it's just marginal.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's marginal viewing. Yeah.
So basically,
so see it for free this month if you can.
Well, so just for our listeners' purposes, my understanding is CBS All Access. You can get the free month up until the 23rd of April. That's one of the reasons why I'm kind of didn't right away sign up, because I'm like, okay, your month starts, I believe, when you sign up. So I was like, okay, wait, maybe I'll wait a little bit and then start my month a little bit later. Because unlike you, I was a Good Wife fan, and so I did see season 1 of The Good Fight when they aired it last summer on CBS because they were trying to get Emmy nominations. I was thoroughly impressed, and I'm under the impression there's at least 2 seasons, and I get the impression that there's a season 4 coming very soon, but I have a feeling I'm not going to get a chance to see it. So I have quite a bit to watch on there, so I figured when I'm a little bit more ready, I will watch Picard, and I'll pick up those 2 seasons of The Good Fight.
Okay.
And that's why I didn't watch right away, because I was like, I could bang it out, but I'm like, wait, I do want to see The Good Fight. It's been a solid series. So
there you go.
Cool.
So take advantage of the free subscriptions if you can.
If it's free, yeah, I might as well just jump right on it.
Yeah, man, free.
There's a bunch of stuff on there too.
It's free.
There's, I think that's where they did what's his name did that new Twilight Zone show too, but I haven't heard good things about it. what's his name? Oh God, who's the Jordan Peele or whatever his name is?
It impressed upon you so much that the name doesn't even come out.
Well, no, because everybody else is impressed by him and I'm not, so that's probably why.
Oh, okay, so you okay.
But that's where the new Twilight Zone is, and they have a whole bunch of old CBS shows that you might like to on archive and.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, so that's like I said. What they're trying to do is basically sit there and go, "Hey, let's entice you to see if you'll stick around and pay for an extra month," and we'll see.
Well, okay. I mean, I'd be motivated to check. I'd probably be motivated more to check out their archive than their newer programming because that's my thing. So, but yeah, all right. I'll have to give that a try. All right, and speaking of giving it a try, do we have anything else we want to address before we tell the people where they could get the show?
Well, WrestleMania is this weekend, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to watch.
Why?
Well, first of all, that assumes I have to go pay for the network. I do have something that
okay.
Which, in fairness, is not much. It's $10, but
you can't just buy the event.
Oh, that costs more.
Oh, okay.
At this point, you're better off buying the month and then discontinuing right away than you are buying the pay-per-view. That costs more money. No way.
Buying the network is better than buying the standalone.
Oh, absolutely. But the thing is, I have something Sunday night, so I'm like, and by the time Sunday night's over, it'll be all over the place on Monday, and I'm not going to want to watch it late. So, I mean, it is a 2-night event, which is a first. So
WrestleMania Saturday, 2 nights now?
Yeah, it's going to be Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, that's interesting enough.
But here's the interesting part. Here's the stuff that's interesting. So originally it was supposed to be from Tampa. That's not going to happen. And there's a lot of people whose reaction is why didn't they postpone the show and move it to later in the year or something along those lines? And all the talk is that Vince McMahon is like, no, the show must go on. And my understanding is there's a lot of pissed off wrestlers. I mean, a lot of angry, pissed off wrestlers who are like, I don't want to have to travel to come do this. And I'll tell you now, because that was, I guess Florida has that rule like we have about what's essential and what's not.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that they have pre-taped a whole bunch of the stuff last week.
Oh, a lot of matches have been pre-taped.
All the matches have been pre-taped.
Are they in empty stadiums or empty?
Yes, they've been running empty stadiums.
Yeah.
They've been running empty stadium at their performance center, which I will say it's been interesting, but there's a part of me where I'm like, there's a part of me where my reaction is I don't think it's a good idea for these guys to have to be traveling and having to be there and then having to travel back and there's a lot, especially considering the fact they're not employees. They're independent contractors. So if something there are certain clauses in some of their contracts, but if something happens, in the end, it's really on them, not the WWE. So to me, that's where I get frustrated.
What's happening, obviously, with the state of the world right now? I just want to interject real quick. Some breaking news. Apparently, according to Variety.com, Ghostbusters Afterlife has been delayed until March of next year.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
right. And I know Wonder Woman got delayed until August and they're still talking about figuring out what they're going to do with Black Widow.
But what's the title? What's the title card this year for WrestleMania?
So this is where things get even more interesting, which is one of the big events is supposed to be Roman Reigns against Goldberg for one of the titles, and here's the thing: Roman Reigns, who is a cousin of The Rock, and probably really the next big. I shouldn't say the next big thing, but he certainly is. He fits all the characteristics of being. The it guy. And, he was out for a little while battling leukemia, and there's a story out there that says that Roman Reigns, who's supposed to be fighting Bill Goldberg in one of the two big major matches, is like, yeah, I'm not gonna end up doing that because I have to be more worried about my health. In the meantime, nobody has said what that match is changing to, or the WWE has been mum about that. We're not sure what the story is or isn't because, again, that's this is a story that's out there, but nobody's confirmed it 100%. If you know what I mean,
right?
I know AJ Styles is facing The Undertaker in a set of matches, and a match. I know that Brock Lesnar is fighting Drew McIntyre, and he's fighting it for another title match. I know that there's a triple threat ladder match between the Usos, the New Day, and Miz and Morrison for some tag titles, which should be good. There's some really good women's matches on these cards. I mean, in fairness, splitting it up into 2 days has been something that has been talked about in the past anyway, because 7 to 8. I mean, I think we've had this conversation before.
Yeah, last year's WrestleMania, it was super long.
Right.
And remember, we talked about how it went into like 1 in the morning.
Well,
in some
yeah,
places.
right. Well, on the East Coast,
yeah,
and that's the problem. Is it's like they'll start at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and they're
but
like
not 10, 11
hours. They're not done until like 11, 12 o'clock, and you're like,
that's a long day. That's a long day.
It's a long day.
It's a lot of, and so really, to me, 2 nights is a good idea to break it up into maybe 4. Although they're already saying, even with the 2 nights, there's going to be more. It's going to be longer than last year. But if you're breaking it up into 2 nights, at least it's maybe 4 hours the first night, 4 hours the second night. And I'm curious to see if this is something that they'll continue in the future.
I think it would be a more feasible way to do things, to keep also the interest of the people who are buying the 2-day event.
Right. I think it would make a lot more sense to do as a 2-day event at this point, because
this year especially.
The thing I don't get is I seem to remember like as a kid, when we watched as a kid, Mike, like these wrestling cards, they had like 10, 12 matches on them, and I don't remember them all being like, I don't remember being stuck watching for like 7 hours and feeling like, oh my God, when is this going to end? And
there were a lot of short matches, and there was more. It was more concise.
Maybe that's the problem.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just feel like there were more matches, and that the irony is, I feel like there are less matches, but it's longer, and I don't. Yeah, So yeah. I mean, it should be interesting. I'm sure people will enjoy it. I'll tell you right now. Obviously, the WWE's taken a bath on the fact that they lost a bunch of money on because they do like the all access where people can go and check out they do like the fan experience thing, and then they have the Hall of Fame, and they have a second card that they run for their NXT brand, and then usually there's the Monday night afterwards that everybody likes to be at.
Yeah, to get the recaps.
The idea. You get the idea, and all of that goes out the window because that's gate money. That's gate money.
Do you have a question, Ivan?
That's all that.
Yeah, I did have a question. Okay, so in light of all the benefits, can I put them under that heading? All these benefits to going there in person and seeing the performances, wouldn't you think it would have tiered in the decision-making process to make it later in the year so that way they could make their money back or even profit, and it would have been more beneficial to the wrestlers and to everyone involved? I mean, basically, right now, they're going to watch these people while there's nobody in the stands, which means nobody's cheering. No, the excitement, the beam of excitement. When you watch the wrestlers, doing their groovy thing, I think to me that would. As part of the appeal to watching the wrestlers do their thing, because they're going to the audience and they're doing the trash talk and they're doing the dramatics and they're going through the whole grandstanding situation that is wrestling now. Would you have thought that maybe they would have said, well, listen, we're kind of missing out on all of this buzz. There it is. Just because we want to just get it done in relation to well, you know what, we move it to August or September, which gives it 4 or 5 more months to do more promoting, more bells and whistles, more of this, more of that, and then make it this over-the-top grandstanding event than what is happening now.
Well, so there's a couple answers to some of those questions.
Okay.
And
they are.
Let's start with this, which is based on, and again, this is all based on dirt sheets and rumors and things that are coming out, that are seeping out from different places. My understanding is that most people want to do what you just said, and the person who's basically sitting there and being like, no, the show must go on, is Vince McMahon. And when Vince McMahon says the show's going to go on, guess what? The show's going to go on because he's Vince McMahon. And in fairness, to flip it, while the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, and all of these, and NASCAR and all these sports or sports like stuff is all been sidelined.
So
WWE has been out there doing product and still putting live shows on Monday and Friday. Mm-hmm. Although they have been repurposing old matches from different places, which I kind of laugh because it's interesting to see where they've repurposed them from, which is all current stuff. I think the numbers would spike even higher on some of those shows if they were to sit there and bring back some serious classic matches here or there, like Stone Cold or The Rock or certain other people like
Roddy
that.
Piper,
Right, and I think that they could get away with that, and they haven't. But
okay, so here's my other thing. Okay, so basically what you're telling me is that Vince McMahon is using
McMahon.
Vince McMahon. Okay, I'm thinking of
there's a big difference.
Motley Crue.
Motley Crue's Vince McNeil. He's a wrestler.
Well, okay. Oh, he's a wrestler. Well, he is also a guy that Motley Crue. But anyway, all I'm saying is that in light of all that, so basically Vince is using this opportunity where everybody else is sidelined to just go ahead and just pick up all the marbles, as to say, because there's nothing else out there.
Kind of. And in fairness, here's the interesting thing. The past 2 weekends, ESPN has been, on Sunday nights, has been running old WrestleManias and will do so the weekend after WrestleMania again. They've been running WrestleMania on Sunday nights as an agreement with the WWE.
That's
if
cool.
anything, what I'm kind of amused by, and this is the part that's interesting to me, is I'm kind of surprised that there might not have been a deal to run WrestleMania on a network other than the WWE network, and that they might have been able to make some real money on the fact that, okay, we're going to air it live on ESPN. But I don't know why they didn't.
Well, yeah, you would think that would be a prime time to actually expound upon this opportunity with all the product that they have.
Right, but the other interesting part is to your question, Ivan, and here's the interesting.
Yes. Okay.
God, I can't remember the name of the. There's a show on El Rey where they do a wrestling show, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. But they do it more like a movie style storytelling, and
Yeah.
it's more, it's not nearly as much. It's wrestling, but like they'll have things like guys shooting laser beams or that kind of stuff. But because it's more of a story, it's more of a story. It's more of thing.
It's more of an adventure slash.
And it's more of a lucha style brand, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me in my brain. I can't believe it.
Lucha, boy, it reminds me of the old animated cartoon Mucha Lucha. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I remember Mucha Lucha.
I gotta see if I can remember the name of that company.
That used to crack me up. I used to like that cartoon.
The reason I'm mentioning this is, to me, where this could be interesting, Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground's the show that's on El Rey Network. They'll do like a more film style look to it, and they'll give a different look and a different feel to it. And it's interesting because my understanding is that they're doing that with a John Cena match with Bray Wyatt. Come here, it'd be interesting for them to take some risks and show us some different looks and try to change the medium and make it look different. I don't think they're going to do that in places. I think they're going to do what they're going to do, and it's too bad because you might be able to take this to an entirely different direction.
Because if you change the aesthetic of it, it changes the overall feel of what it is you're watching.
Right. I mean, you could turn it into more of like an action movie kind of thing versus okay, you need to have a crowd and yeah.
Right. I think if you get two wrestlers who are going to go ahead and engage in this type of a scenario where you've got a storyline happening, a bet, whatever, a strong one, a weak one, or one, whatever that you write up about it, and have it where, okay, you got the superhero wrestler guys against the underground wrestler guys who are doing rotten things, and then they get to a warehouse and then they take each other on right there. I think that would be something I would watch.
Right, and I think the John Cena Bray Wyatt match will have that feel. I have a feeling that the AJ Styles Undertaker match may go a direction like that, just on the fact that it would allow more support for the Undertaker. Who sometimes I sit there and I wonder how much more can this guy. Sometimes when I watch him, even at WrestleMania now, I'm like, okay, I really think it's time to be done.
Well, he's been around a long time, The Undertaker, though. I mean, he's been around a long time.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
I remember him back in the glory day of
the mid-90s.
Exactly. See, so I'm just like, yikes. I mean, that's 20 plus years ago, and how much are you going to be able to endure for your body? But then, of course, I also know the reason why, because again, like you mentioned before, these guys are all free agents. Insurance is not something that is in their wheelhouse.
Get that Taker, dude. They got Mark Callis, who is the guy who plays the Undertaker.
Yeah.
The amount of money that he's getting to do one match a year.
Oh, well, then maybe that is worth his while to go ahead.
Oh, for him, sure. But
for him, but
there are questions that I have about. It seems like it takes him almost a whole year to get ready to do. I said,
well, you're getting prepped again. Yeah, I mean, because now you're taking, here the other 11 months of the year, you're busy doing the.
He's got to keep the brand alive, not just do like convention appearances and live off the residuals.
Well, the interesting part about that though with the Undertaker is keep in mind that's a WWE brand. He can't really. I mean, they can say he was the Undertaker, but at the end of the day, he's Mark, which is, but he hasn't done a lot of those things where he's gone around. He's tried to play it in character. He doesn't really do the Twitter thing that much very often. All that kind of stuff. I mean, keep in mind with there being a new company out there, Yeah, the last thing you want to see happen is, okay, he can't take the Undertaker name with him, but, you can change the name around and make it work. Like, okay, he's the Grim Reaper, or you get the idea.
And also, too, you would think that a person who has been in the WWF for as long as he's been, WWE for as long as he's been, you would have thought that he would have made preparations to actually trademark that name.
No, Vince would never allow that.
Maybe not.
It's Vince's baby.
Not.
Vince is very ruthless in that regard.
Well, okay, because I'm thinking, if you created a brand, now, did he create the brand of the Undertaker, or did the WWE? The WWE said, "Oh, okay, see, but then that changes the game completely now." Because then,
it's like no one's sure exactly how much Dwayne Johnson paid to get The Rock back to be, and I don't know what the deal is with that about what kind of numbers Vince McMahon gets.
Right, it's all about Vince's money,
The
man.
Rock,
Vince didn't even want Hulk Hogan to do films at first.
Well, yeah, but then you saw not only did he do films, he did a reality series.
No, Vince wasn't. It's the AWA guys who didn't want him to do it.
Oh.
When Hogan was still with the AWA was when he did Thunder Lips, and they didn't know he did it, and it was funny because he did Thunder Lips, and then he came
in
to
Rocky
the WWE.
3,
yeah, and then he came to the WWF, and no, Vince wanted the TV, so
So
he didn't mind Hogan being out there. It's just he wanted certain controls, and
certain controls. And he wanted his cut too. I'm sure.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know if you. I'll never forget. I'm watching when one of the Rock's real first solo movie was The Scorpion King. Okay.
I remember that.
Every other, I want to say every fifth credit is Vince McMahon.
Yeah, so
at the time. Now it's not that way, but
yeah, but I'm sure it's just like his case of, okay, I'm gonna, he's my property, and I'm gonna get all the marbles, and I don't want nobody to fuck my money, and he still has that. Apparently, from what I hear from you and Mike, he still has that attitude of, okay, you want to do this shit, that's fine. I just
still
don't fuck.
very, very shrewd.
Well, he's very shrewd, but at the same time, it's like I said, it's interesting because for a while it was all of a sudden it was I'm Dwayne Johnson, I'm not The Rock, and then a few years later it seems like they made peace or something, and then it was okay, I'm The Rock again.
Or people kept calling him that, so he leveraged to get that name back.
Right,
and I'm sure
a trademark.
Yeah, and I'm sure some big money changed hands, and I'm sure some contractual things have happened.
I'm sure.
In order for I'm sure for that, because I know Vince is not, from what you guys tell me, Vince seems like the kind of guy, he's not gonna, you want that, you're gonna, if you want it bad enough, you're gonna have to pry it out of my coat dead hands before you get it for
Well,
nothing.
I mean, I'll give you an example. I don't know if Michael, remember the Dudley Boys from ECW, and they were in the WWE for a little bit. Barely. But they went to go work TNA, and they couldn't use the name Dudley Boys.
See, yeah.
They had to change it up a little bit. But everybody knew it was the Dudley Boys. I mean, it's
Well, it's just like anything else. Once you've signed on the dotted line, it's kind of like, you know what, that's where you're at, and that's the same in most every business I've ever read about or I've ever encountered. Yeah, you sign your name on the dotted line, it becomes their ball. It doesn't become your ball at all.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it should be. In fairness, it's going to be an intriguing show over the weekend. The two shows over the weekend because, like I said, they filmed some of this in advance. It means that maybe there's certain things they could do differently. I don't know how they're planning on doing certain aspects. There's certainly some intriguing matchups, and some interesting things that they're doing with it. And not to mention, like I said, one of the matches that's supposed to happen is this Goldberg-Roman Reigns match. And like I said, there's something out there that says, yeah, Roman Reigns doesn't feel comfortable with everything going on about doing the match at WrestleMania, which has not necessarily been confirmed, and that's one of the big main events. So I'm curious what the plan is about what you're planning on doing with Goldberg instead, since that was the plan, was to have him to face Reigns, if that's really true.
I just had a thought, Jeff, and that is, okay, if they pre-recorded a lot of these matches, what makes me think that one of those guys in the control booth isn't, running something down on a flash drive and ready to leak some of that out?
Because I think some of that started. I wouldn't say that that stuff's leaked out, but there certainly have been there have been some supposed leaks about they've been recording in advance and all this stuff like that, and about how certain things are being done and how certain things are looking, but they're not. I haven't heard anything about what you're talking about, but it's always possible.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you're going to get some enterprising young technician up there. They're recording all of these matches, and they all know the outcomes. And, of course, I'm sure for any amount of money, they're going to say, hey, let me get that so that way I can go ahead and, A, have it because I have it. B, I can bet against it once it goes live because I already know the outcome of it.
I'm sure those guys.
I've always never understood that.
What's that?
I've always never understood that, which is there actually is a betting line from someplace out in England for pro wrestling, and I never understood why anyone would ever do that, because it's like
okay, yeah.
I'm betting on the sweaty one to win.
But also, too, I'm sure Las Vegas has got their finger in the pie, too, with that type of thing.
I don't know that they do. I think they've stayed away for the reason that I would stay away from it, which is...
okay.
It's scripted outcomes. How do you...
Well, but at the same time, it's still a sport. I mean, you bet on the horses, you bet on the basketball players. I mean, and those are less orchestrated for outcome.
Or so we thought, or so we think.
Oh, so we think.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so I mean, I don't have the in on
White Sox come to mind.
Yeah, the 1919 Black Sox. Anyway, but then you know what? That's not far from the truth, Mike. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. It's because, let's face it, sports is big business. And even more now than it's ever been. I mean, back, decades ago, it's for the honor of the game. I'll play hurt, but I'll keep going and I'll do this and I'll do it. Now, it's just like, okay, you have a shelf life of 5 to 10 years, under millions of dollars, and then, it's like, well, when it's your time to go, they say, okay, this is your season, out you go. We'll pay you and, get the hell out of here, because we don't want to look at you no more because you're a beat to shit.
Well, let us know if you did change your mind and watch WrestleMania.
I want to, yeah, if you watch WrestleMania, I mean, I guess I'm kind of the old school where, I liked all the puffery that was, Rowdy Pipers and, and all the rest of those cats. It's just like, that was all, it was fun. It was fun, and they were larger than life characters, I guess, because that's just what they were to me. Were these character guys who, you almost can almost put a name to every move that you knew in advance was going to happen because that was their brand, that was their thing. So,
right. Hey, look, that's a longer conversation, and we'll have it at some point. But
another point.
But the other thing is, I will say that for you or like me, I've gotten the network before, so they're not going to do this for me. But if you haven't gotten the network before, they do give a free month, and they will do it for WrestleMania.
Okay. Well, I might have to go ahead and peek in there and see what's going on with that.
And the other thing is that the network gives you access
to the
archives.
archives.
The network gives you access to the archives.
Oh, okay. Well,
all the archives. And when I say all the archives, we're talking old school AWA, old school WWE, old school WCW, all of that stuff.
All right. Now, well, that's a jar of jelly to the peanut butter sandwich. Okay, cool.
Oh no, there's some stuff. I don't know. Sometimes I just kind of laugh because it's like I've never felt the need to go back into the archives at times. It's like if it was available and somebody put it on, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. But not
to pay for it and just
it's okay to go back and seek something out on purpose. It's like,
not so much. Not so much.
I don't know. Like I said, to me, see, the irony to me is, like, for example, with everything that's going on with Raw and SmackDown, where they're going to try to keep doing shows. What I kind of laugh about is they keep using shows with the current product, with the current wrestlers, and I get it that you still want to establish those wrestlers, but you could go back into some of your archives and really put some stuff out there that if you advertised it right, where you told people in advance you were going to have, like, and I'm just using this as an example. Okay, we're going to put the Hogan Andre match available, and we're going to have that as a special main event for Raw tonight. I think you draw people to watch a replay of the Hogan Andre match, or one of the Stone Cold versus The Rock matches, or stuff like that.
Maybe once we get theaters back, there could be like a Fathom Events screening of, say, like not just like slightly abridged, like make it like under 2 hours of WrestleMania 3.
Also, too, would also be good in light of this too. If you go ahead and you program it as a precursor to the new match or a post addition to a new match. I think.
Well, the reason I'm mentioning this is what's happening is, they've got a 2-hour show on Friday night on Fox, and then they've got a 3-hour show on USA. And so what they've been doing is and this is the part where I kind of laugh about, because it's like, if I was paying for the network, I might have been pissed about a few things, because they had a pay-per-view recently, where they did this main event match, and because of what happened, what's going on, like, within the week, they put that main event on not just USA. They didn't put it on USA. They put it on Fox. So, you're talking about free TV they gave away. Now, in fairness, again, we're talking about a situation that, nobody expected this kind of crap to happen. But they're giving away some of these matches from their archive. Like, what did they air last week? They aired, like, Roman Reigns versus Triple H, the main event from WrestleMania 30. Or something like that, where they had that. And they put that on, and it's like a 20, 30-minute match. Well, with commercials, you can stretch that out a little bit longer.
You stretch it out to an hour,
Right. But it's a solid match in its content, and, to be honest, it's a good way to congratulations, take out an hour, so you don't have to worry about, how much talent you need to bring down to the Performance Center to do a Friday night show, or hey, guess what? We're gonna, like, my understanding is, as we're doing the show tonight, one of the matches they were airing on Raw was Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, which was the main event from last year's WrestleMania, and they just put it on USA Network tonight for, like, free.
Yeah, I guess maybe part of that strategy is just to kind of fan the fires, if you will, to bring it bring all these types of events for the new events? I guess it's just like little hors d'oeuvres or whatever. Hey, you saw this, so you saw this. Maybe we'll hope you'll come and check this out.
Right. Well, the point to your point, and I just saw what time it is. I'm like, holy crap, I should land this thing. But the point to your point is, first of all, there's a lot. They signed some huge money contracts with both USA and Fox to put these shows on the air. So, if anything, these shows are incredibly important for them to make sure that they have a good, solid content base. What I laugh about is, here's an opportunity where you don't have to use your most recent product to do it. You could use, especially in WrestleMania season.
Well, you can use the archive. You can use all the archives.
And then on top of it, sit there and say, we have matches like that and more on the WWE Network, and feel free to subscribe and blah, blah, blah. And here's how you do it. And by the way, you get a free, that's what I don't get, because there's some classic matches.
Why hasn't anybody jumped on that? I mean, you figured that right out off the top of your head. Why hasn't anybody else figured that out?
The only thing I would be curious about is maybe it has to do with video quality.
Well,
some of those matches are older matches. Maybe video quality, they don't hold up like they used to.
Well, but see, with the technology they have, if they could go ahead and take a movie filmed in 1911 and make it almost as though it came out in the early 1980s, I mean, that's pretty phenomenal stuff that they're doing in the world of technology. So I'm sure that in the right hands, I'm sure they could upgrade everything, from the original format into, HD or 1080i or whatever it is that they do now. And I think, and even then, some of the more vintage looks might even be appealing because that's how they remembered it as. So it's just like when ESPN sometimes they'll show some of the old boxing matches and stuff. Yeah, well, the only way they had it was on film, and it's a film from 1930, 1940, 1950. I mean, videotape didn't see to the light till 1958. But regardless, it's a monumental piece of history as well as a great match or a great performance. So I don't know if video quality would actually play as much into that, as I just think that it'd be just something that if it was made available, and again, in a way that you had stated, I think that it would be quite a nice hors d'oeuvre to get to the main course.
Digitally remaster it and colorize it.
Well,
and add in CG laser effects.
Oh yeah, there you go. And then we'll do the hyper Michael Bay editing, and then we'll add the explosions, and then let's see, we'll throw in every conceivable thing. The Foley guys can actually amp up the sounds and everything. But in other words, what used to be a chair will just sound like a big exploding pillar. All right, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, like I said, I think it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this weekend, and we'll see. We'll see. I don't.
Well, just the fact that to watch an event with nobody in the stands, I don't know. I might find that strange, but if they go the route of turning them into mini adventures, that might be a little.
With last year, they had all the public screenings, which you're not going to have, obviously. So
right. Which, I mean, a lot of money doing it now has been lost. It would have been to his advantage had he just gone 4 or 5 months down the line and been smart about it. He would have made.
Well, but keep in mind, you gotta we gotta land this thing. But keep in mind,
we're running a little long today.
Yeah, we're running a little long, but keep in mind. While you're sitting there talking about, push it back till later in the summer. If I'm Vince McMahon, I'm like, okay, so what do I do with SummerSlam, which, quite frankly, is either number 2 or number 3 major pay-per-view, which usually airs somewhere in August.
I see what you're saying. So it just basically is just like, well, it's not that I'm in a position to move it. I've already got several things in stone that I need to make happen.
Right. I mean, keep in mind they're doing a pay-per-view every month, but there are really...
There are some bigger money
the
things.
long and short of it is it's, and this is how I've always seen it, and sometimes this is questionable, which is there's always been 4 major WWE pay-per-views. Obviously WrestleMania.
Uh-huh.
Then there's SummerSlam, which happens usually in August.
Right.
In either late July or sometime in August.
Okay.
And then the next major pay-per-view, and this is the one of the 4 that would probably be the least important, which is Survivor Series, which is usually sometime in November around Thanksgiving.
Right.
And then you've got the Royal Rumble, which is somewhere around January or early February, somewhere in there. Okay? Those are your big 4 events of the year, and there's a few others that are in there that sometimes people will go, ooh, that's kind of a bigger event, but you get the idea.
No, I do, yeah.
So to answer your question, if I'm Vince McMahon, okay, then I just put more budget into SummerSlam.
Okay, all right.
And hope this is all going to be done by summer.
Yeah,
right.
that assuming, like for example, I mean, I've heard stories that they're talking about moving the Hall of Fame ceremony and the Hall of Fame inductions to SummerSlam this year because obviously they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So,
because you just can't have the crowds.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Right, exactly. And especially because some of them are, when you're talking about Hall of Fame, you're talking about some of the older wrestlers.
Yeah, and their health is at risk.
Do you want them to travel? Do you want to do it by Skype? Not really.
Yeah, you don't want to expose them to that. No, of course not. That would be careless. Yeah.
Right, and quite frankly, there's money to be made because people will pay tickets to go to this thing.
Well, of course, because the names are there.
Yeah.
So
which I always laugh about because I've seen a little bit of these things in person, and I don't know. I don't think I'd ever pay to see the Hall of Fame in person. It seems so boring.
Just kind of just a lot of puffery.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's interesting, but at times it's like, okay,
Meh.
you're just kind of sitting there listening to them, their speeches and them
watching the
about
highlight reels and.
Well, I don't even know if it's highlight reels. It's as much as they have their one little
Moment.
highlight reel, and then they have the person to introduce them, and then it's okay. They get up there. And sometimes those guys who get up there, they don't have anything figured out. And sometimes they're really good. It depends on, and you're never sure who's going to be any good and who's not. And, it's
kind of like the Oscars for wrestling.
Well, we'll see what comes from this weekend, and with the state of the world being as it is, we'll see if the two-night thing will be worth the wait.
Yeah, maybe the Tiger King will show up.
Yeah.
It's the state of the world.
If you know what a Tiger King is, please email us. Let us know what a Tiger King is.
We want to know what a Tiger King. In fact, there was some person on Facebook saying, "I will, if I get 100, I will shave my hair for the Tiger King," and I'm just like, okay, what the fuck is that? Anyway, but here's
the part I laugh about is you have Netflix, so you should be able to find this out.
Well, you know what?
I don't have Netflix.
Well, you know what? I will go ahead. I'll tell you what. I'll go ahead on Netflix and find out what this shit's all about and bring it to the next show, and then we can talk about it then.
We'd appreciate that.
Speaking of the next show, where could they find this one and all the other good ones?
All the rest of them. You want to go into our archives, man? You can all those steel cage matches and all the grudge matches all the battles we've had before. You can look us up. We're on Instagram and Twitter at SOTRT Podcast. We're on YouTube. Click the bell, subscribe. You know when new content drops. All these crazy stories from our other show, News of the Squared. Shout out to Scott. Because all those crazy stories are on our Facebook page. You can subscribe and follow us there. We'd appreciate it. Of course, you can listen on all our podcasting platforms. Google, PodBean, Spotify, Anchor, all them goodies. You can check us out there. And, of course, send us an email if you can tell us what a Tiger King is. SOTRTpodcast@gmail.com.
So with that, folks, thank you for joining us here at SOTRT, the Squares of the Round Table. I'm Jive and Ivan, and, of course, with Jeff and Mike, we wish you a great time from here and hope that you'll join us for news of the Squared and plus a whole lot more. Check out our archive of shows. You definitely put a tickle, a smile, and hilarity into your life, and we'll catch up with you next time.
Off the top rope.
Ah!
Pile driver.
I got the claw!
Undertaker. That was bad.